The scene from Gaza is chilling. It's not just a crowd chanting and wanting to kill Jews. You've got a guy sitting on the shoulders of another man, brandishing these massive knives, and there is a call to butcher and kill Jewish people. You have to understand there is systematic incitement. There is systematic stirring up of hatred against the Israelis, hatred against the Jews, and the results are disastrous. The results are ugly, and it starts all the way down with little children, and it comes on a regular basis from Muslim leaders. Listen to what this Muslim leader has to say. We'll give you the translation as well. Listen to what he has to say. He's a Muslim leader on the national television show for Gaza on Al-Aqsa TV. Listen to what he has to say.
بدي أطلب مصحف يا أخي الكريم، بس جيب لي مصحف. بدي أحلف يمين على الهواء مباشرة الآن إنه لن يبقى يهودي واحد على هذه الأرض، لن يبقى مستوطن واحد على هذه الأرض مطلقا. وهذا كلام المشايخ قبلي، الله يبارك فيك، المشايخ قبلي أقسموا على القرآن الكريم زي هيك وحملوا المصاحف وأقسموا بالله العظيم إنه مش رايح يضل ولا يهودي على هاي الأرض ولن تكسبوا أي.
All right, he is calling for Quran. He wants someone to bring him a Quran so he can swear on it that we will not leave one Jew alive. We will not leave a single Jew, dead or alive, on our land. What happens to those hearing that day and night? What happens to those going to the mosque hearing that day and night? They're not hearing, how can we peacefully coexist? How can we all live together in harmony? What can we do to bring down the walls of hostility? What can we do to work with Israel to see prosperity for our nation, for our people, education for our children? No, the Jews, and notice I don't say Israelis, the Jews, we will not leave a single Jew dead or alive on our land. This is being said day and night and day and night and day and night. If you go over to Iran, for example, there is similar rhetoric and people are hearing it. Here is David Badaim. He is the head of the Center for Near East Policy Research. He's on Arutz Sheva TV September 17th, and he's giving us a picture of what is happening in the radical Islamic world.
This is not a matter only of incitement. This is a matter of a systematic education for children to learn how to use weapons to murder Jews. We have to understand that a great mistake was made to emphasize the nuclear capability of Iran. The nuclear capability is one thing, which most people can't understand, not in Israel, not abroad. What people can understand is what it means to put thousands of guns in the hands of children and to train them systematically to murder Jews. Look at the faces of the young people and of the children that we have interviewed in our film, Iran, Billions for Terror, and understand that that could be the near future if the Iranians receive $50 or $150 billion in their hands and they can do with it what they want.
You know what happens when you demonize a particular group, when you say they're less than human. And in Quranic theology, the Jews are the sons of apes and pigs. And instead of having a proper historical narrative and understanding what has happened when there is plenty of room for Jews and Arabs living in the land side by side, no, this is Muslim land. No Jew can be on it. The Jews are evil occupiers and they must be exterminated, wiped out, obliterated from the land. And anyone who kills a Jew is doing God a service and is guaranteed a place in the world to come. You say, well, what kind of impact does it have? It's not just terrorists as young as 13 years old attacking Israeli citizens or attacking a 13-year-old Israeli boy and trying to kill him. It's not just that. It goes down to the little children. Here's a voice. Is there anything more tender, more sweet than the voice of a sweet, adorable little girl? Listen to these tender sounds, but the words are horrific.
عشان بدي أقطع اليهودي.
ليش بدك تطعني اليهودي؟
لأنهم سرقوا أرضنا.
سرقوا أرضنا بدك تطعنيهم بإيش؟
بالسكين.
يا قوية أنت إن شاء الله يا بابا.
Yeah, inshallah, God willing, here's a little girl, a sweet, adorable looking little girl, Palestinian, Jordanian. By the way, living in a Palestinian refugee camp in Jordan. Why are there Palestinian refugee camps in Jordan? Why are there Palestinian refugee camps in the Muslim world? How come the Palestinians haven't been settled in fully as equal citizens with equal rights? Because they are kept in an oppressed state as a constant harassment against Israel, a constant incitement against Israel, rather than being incorporated as other refugees would be within the new homeland. No, they are still living in refugee camps, and this is a constant sore, a constant blight against Israel. But here's a little girl holding a knife, saying, I want to stab a Jew. I mean, this is mind-boggling stuff. This is what little children are being taught. Yes, they are victims as well. Okay, I agree that if a 13-year-old kid picks up a knife to stab an innocent person, a civilian, that person is responsible for his or her actions. I agree. A 15-year-old suicide bomber tries to blow himself or herself up to kill innocent men, women, and children. Yes, they are responsible. But let's face the fact they are also victims of a horrific ideology that they have been hearing since they were little children. And then this is highlighted. This is praised. Again, we'll go to Al-Aqsa TV. Here's a little boy, he and his little brother dressed in military fatigues, and they're appearing on state-run TV in Gaza because the boy is a poet. So listen to him reciting poetry.
يا قدس أفديكي بدمي وبروحي بروحي وبدمي سأحررك من عيد اليهود بعيد القسام أكيد أبشر أسرانا أن الفرج قريب.
When you hear Al-Quds, the holy city, the holy place, that's speaking of Jerusalem. He wants to liberate Jerusalem, and as he expresses later in the interview, he wants to do it by being a member of the Al-Aqsa Brigade. He wants to be a terrorist. He wants to be part of the military wing of Hamas, and he wants to kill Jews and liberate Jerusalem. And he's written a poem, and he's so good at poetry for being a little boy that he's brought on state-run TV. And he's got a little brother there. And the brother is asked what he wants to do. The one kid wants to grow up and be part of the military wing of Hamas. What about his brother? Oh, thankfully, he has different aspirations. No, not thankfully. Listen.
وانت يا زكريا شو حابب تصير لما تكبر؟ مهندس؟ ليش بدك تصير مهندس؟
عشان أفجر يهود.
He wants to be an engineer. Not like his brother who wants to join the military wing of Al-Aqsa. He wants to be an engineer. Why? So he can blow up the Jews. So he can blow up the Jews. These are little children. They're getting this radical, hate-filled ideology. And here's what you have to understand. Some of the terrorists in recent years have come from good homes. Some of them, you go to their Facebook page and they seem to be prosperous and everything going well and they're popular, but they have this intense hatred against the so-called evil occupiers, and they've got to kill them and wipe them out. Friends, it is so clear that this is what is driving so much of the violence against the people of Israel. This violent theology, this violent ideology, it is murderous, it is ugly, and it is especially murderous and ugly when it influences and infiltrates the minds and hearts of little impressionable children that could have just as well grown up to be part of some type of Peace Corps or reconciliation group working together with Israel. And look, there are Muslims and there are Israelis who are working together. There are Arabs and Israelis who are working together, Muslims and Jews. And I have friends, Messianic Jews, Jewish believers in Jesus in the land, Christian friends in the land who are actively working with Arab brothers and sisters for the purposes of reconciliation. I know of meetings taking place like this. I know of young people's meetings taking place like this. It's happening on a secular level as well. People do want to get past the hatred. But friends, with an ideology like this permeating so many of the people, it is impossible to overcome without changing that first. And let me go a little further. This is impacting people in the West as well. I'm not going to get into all the stories now. I've got a stack of them. But a girl in Denmark, 15 years old, she and her boyfriend are watching videos by ISIS. After that, she goes and stabs her mother to death. There's a guy in California who's just been arrested. He was going to bomb some, quote, Zionist church. This ideology is having an impact even in the West, and the ideology is murderous. Let us expose it. And whatever your view is in the Middle East conflict, if you don't fully share my view of what the scriptures say about Israel and the Jewish people, you should at least renounce this hateful, murderous ideology that is being fed to little children. You should oppose it, and if you're a Muslim, you should speak out against it. Let us get the truth out and liberate the minds of these impressionable little children.